no problem to solve. There is no meaningful fraud. It's all about what happened in 2020. President Trump is still trying to convince Americans. I don't think he believes it, but I think he's trying to convince Americans that there was some hanky-panky in the 2020 election.
The Supreme Court's conservative majority did appear to lean toward the Trump administration's arguments during yesterday's session. However, justices expressed concern about the impact on early voting. LA County officials say in 2024, just 3% of the total ballots counted arrived after Election Day. But officials worry a major policy change before Election Day could lead to confusion. A decision in this case is expected by late June.
This is all confusing, just as you're walking
through
all
right?
of it. Joining us now with more insight is Andrew Garber, counsel in the Brennan Center's Voting Rights and Elections program. Thank you for being here this morning.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me on.
Okay, so if the U.S. Supreme Court rules ballots must be received by Election Day, we're talking this could impact midterms. How much earlier would Californians realistically need to drop their ballots in the mail?
It's important that voters be proactive when they want to vote by mail. California, they don't need to request a mail ballot, but it's essential that they fill it out promptly when they receive it and that they give the Postal Service plenty of time to deliver it. The Postal Service does a really good job returning mail ballots overall, but mail delays do occasionally happen. We've all experienced that one way or another, so I would encourage voters to be prompt about filling it out, regardless of the outcome of this case, and not waiting until close to Election Day, but give it a week or 2 weeks or more if you're able to do so.
Yeah, also a good idea, too, to use those drop boxes
Yes.
that we've been showing as opposed to just putting it in your own mailbox. Now, millions of ballots could end up being rejected. So which voter demographics are most at risk here and why?
What's really interesting about this case is so many different groups could be impacted by the ruling here. Vote by mail is not something that's just used by a small percentage of the population, but there are lots of groups who like to take advantage of it. We're talking about voters with disabilities. Being able to vote by mail is really important to some of them. Older voters, voters who live in rural communities, as well as students who might be off at college and need to vote by mail because they're still registered at their parents' address. All of these people being able to vote by mail is really important, and any limitation on that right is something that can cause some of them to not be able to cast their ballot in a given election.
Well, I just want to talk about, because this morning President Trump, who's repeatedly criticized mail-in voting, it looks like he voted by mail himself in a special election in Florida. How do you think this plays into the arguments?
I mean, it just shows that for so many different people, being able to vote by mail is important. We all may be away from home for any reason or another when Election Day comes up, or we might have really busy lives. It might be hard to get family care or transportation to the polls. I also think it's important to mention military voters and other American citizens living overseas for whom voting by mail is actually the only option and who are just as much as anyone else likely to face delays. If you're stationed on the other side of the world, it can take a really long time for the ballot to get to you and then for that ballot to be able to be returned to your home state. And that's why so many states have recognized that giving a grace period is something that a lot of voters need.
Well, President Trump and supporters of, eliminating this grace period talk a lot about fraud concerns, but election experts say it's extremely rare. So what evidence has actually been presented in this case to justify tightening these deadlines?
To be clear, there is no evidence of widespread fraud in our elections. That remains true of mail voting. It's something that faces a lot of theories. A lot of attacks have been happening on mail voting over the last few years. But the truth is, there are a lot of systems in place to make sure that mail voting remains safe and secure. Lots of audits have taken place, lots of investigations have been done, and Americans should remain very confident in that fact. So I haven't really heard any evidence in this case, or really in any forum, to believe that mail voting, fraud is a concern when it comes to mail voting, and that remains very true both of ballots that arrive before Election Day and ballots that arrive during a grace period.
All right, Andrew, thank you so much for being with us this morning. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.